to the cloud. All right, cool. Welcome back to the podcast, guys. I have our final guest here with us for the Advice from Her series, which I am so excited for, and we are definitely going out with a bang. Kata is an absolute superwoman who has 2 businesses, which she will share all about in a moment. But today's episode is going to be so good because Kata's been in business for like over 10 years. And I mean, I'll hand it over to her in a second for a bit of an intro. But like I said, she has 2 businesses. So it's going to be really cool for you guys to see more of a traditional way of doing business and then in the network marketing area as well, and how she's been able to manage the 2, the mindset shifts. You guys know the gist by now about what we cover. But thank you for being here today, Kata. And in terms of an intro, I'd love to just hand it over to you in terms of who you are, where you're from. We'll go into your business in a moment, but yeah, just so the listeners kind of know who Kata is.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here and I'm so proud of you for doing this. We have known each other a really long time, and seeing you find your space and your field and your feet and your independence is just so fulfilling to me as well. So little congrats to you, babe. So proud of you. And I'm loving the series. I have been listening along. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I suppose the thing that people would most know me for at the moment is my wine company. So I have been in business 10 years. I started with network marketing. I was in the public service before that in human resources and recruitment, and I was a personal assistant. So organization and scheduling has always been something I'm really passionate about, as you would know, as we have worked together in the past. So I did start network marketing. That was basically my introduction to business, which was, honestly, I just recommend it. I recommend anyone that's wanting to get started in business that isn't sure, try the intra-preneur path, because it does give you a really, really good basic starting point. So I'm just going to take my earring out because I can hear it's clanging on the AirPod. So yeah, entrepreneurship and network marketing is definitely a great start. So that's where I started. That's basically what I use to fund my passion. So after I started that, I think maybe 3 or 4 years in, I started a coaching business, which was coaching network marketers specifically on ethical and sustainable business, which I am very, very big on. I learned a lot from that whole company. I think I had it for about 3 or 4 years, and then I actually had to make the decision to close the doors of that. I had ebooks, I had online courses, I had programs, I had personal coaching, I had the whole thing. I absolutely loved it. But ultimately, I chose my network marketing business, which proved to be a really powerful decision, because the income that I've been able to generate from the network marketing business now funds my second company, which is the wine company. So the brand is called Wine Not the Brand. It is female and it is pink and it is cute and it is just, I love it so much. So yeah, it's definitely been a journey getting here. 2 businesses now, had 3 at one stage. Don't recommend that. That was full on. But I suppose, yeah, I'm really passionate about scheduling and about pursuing your dreams and about finding the right sequence. I'm big on sequencing as well. So the steps that you have to take to go from where you are to where you really want to be.
I'd love for you to talk more about that because, yes, as Kata said at the start, we have worked together in the network marketing space. And so I completely agree with what you say about that is the best place to start, because there's no way I would be where I am today or even know what to do to start another business until you do that. So it's so underestimated, that industry and the tools you get. But I mean, our team was obviously so blessed with you because you have done other businesses as well. So you could bring that flair into things. But talk to us about this sequencing thing and what you mean by that and why you're so passionate about that.
Yeah, so sequencing is basically the concept that there's a path to get to anywhere that you want. There's something that you want and there's a place at your beginning. And a lot of people look at the end result and you're like, okay, so let's say like I want to start a wine company, right? And when I thought I was going to start a wine company, I had no concept of the steps involved or the sequence, the not just the steps involved, but in what order that you have to do them and the time associated with that, the skill set, the people that you need to meet, the networks that you need to establish, like just everything. So sequences are a part of everything that we do. When you wake up in the morning, you have a sequence. You wake up, you breathe air, you have your thoughts, you have a drink of tea or whatever habits you've created, you brush your teeth, you get up. Like we all have routines, habits, and sequences that we follow, which ultimately determine what we do on a daily basis, but also what we do moving forward in the bigger picture of our lives. So the biggest thing that I had to understand in specifically the wine company really was the sequence required to even manufacture product. It was something that I continued to fuck up and cost me a lot of money and a lot of time because I didn't have the right sequence for things. So for example, because I hired a designer to design the labels that probably wasn't as qualified to do it as maybe a commercial designer because she was an artist really. By the time she got the designs of the labels done to me, the bottles had already been filled, which means that I couldn't put the labels on them and they had already been boxed as a part of the whole wine manufacturing process. So then I had to rip apart all the boxes. I had to send them over to Orange. I had to get them all labeled. Like the whole sequence was interrupted. And because of that, the entire time frame, the entire costing, everything was thrown out. So that was my big lesson in, okay, you need to know not just what to do, but when to do it and the time frames associated with that. So following the right sequence in any project or goal or anything at all, really, I believe is one of the key factors to success.
Okay, so if someone's in the early stages of business, or maybe, they're thinking about starting a business, would you recommend figuring this out, from here until 2 years down the track of everything what's involved within that sequence? Is that kind of how you go about it?
I think what you think is going to happen is never going to happen. But I do think it's really important to speak to somebody that's done it before. And this is, again, why I'm a big advocate of network marketing, because it teaches you how to follow the leader. It teaches you how to learn from somebody who's done it before, which means that you can cut a lot of the risks, a lot of the lessons, a lot of the challenges out of the way. And it gives you a basic framework. It's like a map. Anywhere that you want to go, anywhere in the world, people are following a map. You don't hop on a flight and just hope that you end up in LA. Like the pilot puts this thing on autopilot and it takes you where you want to go. So when you're starting a business, I mean, there's a few things that I would recommend that you do, but a part of that process, which again is a discovery sequence, would be to talk to someone who's done what you want to do. They're going to give you the basic framework, which is going to give you, rough objectives and things to aim towards. But then I also believe that you have to allow for flexibility, because the person who gave you that blueprint is a different human to you. So their steps are going to look like slightly different to your steps, because their skill set, their experience, their networks as well play a really big part in speed, are going to be different to yours.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that you have worked and you've taken advice from other people. I'd love for you to talk about that, because I'm about to open up the doors to my 8-week mentorship. And I personally have worked with, obviously, you within network marketing. I've also paid thousands of dollars to work with mentors for that exact reason, because I want to get in on what worked for them so that I can apply it to my business. So over the years of your business, have you worked with mentors? How have you followed leaders in your industry to help you get to where you are now?
Yeah, good question. And I mean, so the three businesses, so network marketing, coaching, and then wine business, very different experiences. And a big part of that was being able to access somebody to follow or not being able to access somebody to follow. So for example, in network marketing, I was able to grow my business very quickly because it's inbuilt into the system, the structure, and the compensation plan of most network marketing businesses, that you follow someone more experienced, they show you the ropes, they teach you everything. There's getting started guides and websites and all sorts of things that you literally just follow the steps. Very, very simple. With the coaching business, I did hire a business coach who's now one of my very best friends. She still gives me advice, and I was paying her like $2,000 a month to tell me what to do to be able to build the business like yours, like your coaching business. She helped me write the ebooks. She helped me put together the email sequencing for upselling. She helped me manage my time better. I had no idea that I was so distractible until I hired somebody, and she was like, "You are a goldfish." And I would never have changed unless I had somebody to point that out for me. And then the third one with Why Not, I have not had anyone to follow, because everyone you call in the industry is not interested in helping. They are not going to give you a look in. They're not going to give you any piece of advice. And it has taken me 6 years to get this far because there was nobody that could actually give me advice. So I tried to take what I learned in network marketing and ask for guidance and help, but even the people that you pay sometimes are not qualified to offer that advice unless they've done it before. So I do give you a caution to be careful who you follow, And my golden rule, and you've probably heard me say this a billion times, Jess, is that you only take advice from somebody that has what you want, has done what you want to do, or is the kind of person that you want to be.
I love that so much. So could you please, you mentioned 6 years to get to where you are now, and I will obviously link all of this in the show notes for you to go and check out Kata, and we'll cover where you can find her at the end. But she's just created this most amazing, beautiful office space. And it's just really flourishing your company. But you've mentioned that it's taken you 6 years to get to where you are. I would love for you to talk about the mindset that you've needed to continue to keep going despite all the hurdles. And obviously the importance of just having the vision that you've had for Why Not, because I feel like without that vision, you wouldn't be where you are today. So if you could talk about that, I would, love to hear.
Sure. Well, the number one thing that keeps me going is wine. The convenience. No. It's actually really interesting because the journey has really changed, and what's kept me going has really changed. So in the beginning, when I came up with this concept, it started as a joke. I was living in Bondi at the time. I was 20, I don't know, something. I was already doing my network marketing company. I was doing great. And it started as a joke. I just thought, well, how hard can it be to start your own wine label? Like, I'm getting tax deductions for using personal care products. I want to get tax deductions for drinking wine because that's my next favorite thing in the world. So I was like, wine company, haha. And I think that ignorance was so key, because I already had people telling me at that point, at the very beginning, it will never work. You have to be in wine to get into wine. It is expensive. It is hard work. I really didn't realize how expensive and how hard it would be. But now I understand that most vineyards are owned. They're like family generations and generations. So you don't just start a wine company. Most wines that you see are simply repackaged, same brand, or they're not making any money because they're bought out by larger corporations. So a lot of the wines that you see in the liquor stores, the profit margins are just so minuscule. This is why there's so much turnover, because you want to get it in there because your ego says it's a good idea, but ultimately it's a terrible business decision for a lot of people. So in the beginning, what kept me going? Ignorance. Then I got to a stage where I was ready to throw in the towel. I didn't even have my liquor license yet. I was like 2 or 3 years into it. I had a massive falling out with my business partner. I fired him from the company and he threatened to sue me. That was a pretty pivotal point where I was like, this is too hard. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know what I'm doing. And then it was actually my networks that kept me going. It was my friends. It was the people on Facebook that I had shared the entire journey with. Everyone just said it's too good of an idea to let go. Like, I had fought for the trademark of Why Not. I was fighting for my liquor license. I was fighting not to be sued. Like, everything was just hard. And it was the people around me. Then I got to a point where, I don't know, maybe like 4 years in, and I moved to the Gold Coast. And again, I was like, I don't have a business. I still have the same amount of wine sitting in a freaking storage unit that's just sitting there, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to sell this. And then I had just come too far. I had come way too far to not keep going. I had invested way too much money, way too many years. And I thought, well, you know what? Even if in the end this business ends up me drinking all of this, it's going to be worth it because I will have learned something. And I changed my mindset from, I suck at this. I'm an absolute loser. I'm a failure. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, who do I even think I am? That was my mindset. I shifted to, well, if I went to university, I would have paid probably just as much money, tens and tens of thousands of dollars at that point. We're now in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, so different story. But at that point, we were tens of thousands in. And I thought, there's no one more qualified to teach me how to do this than me. Because when you go to university, you get taught skills, but you don't get given the networks. You don't get given the ideas. You don't get given the experience. So if I can just keep going and treat this as a learning experience with the added benefit that I actually get a product out of it, I get a brand out of it, I get experience out of it, and potentially I can actually make some money back, then really I'm not doing too badly. And as long as I keep going, like they say, if you hang around the barbershop, eventually you get a haircut. I was like, eventually somebody, somewhere, a miracle will happen. I will figure it out. Something will happen to tip this over the edge. I just have to keep going.
Yeah. And talk about where you are now. because of that?
Okay, well, here's what happened. COVID. No. Because of COVID, things changed. I mean, firstly, I moved to the Gold Coast from Canberra. So I was selling bottles initially, and moving up to the Gold Coast, we bought a boat. We started boat life and island hopping, and the Gold Coast lifestyle. It's amazing. But wine bottles and boats don't mix. They just don't. Like, you can't drink a glass of wine in a classy way on a freaking speedboat. And I learned that by spilling wine everywhere constantly. That was the idea number one. That's where like it started. From there, we used to, don't judge me, but we used to take our dog for a walk at the dog park, and we take a little, road beverage. So we'd have wine in a coffee cup walking the dog. And I was like, this is annoying. Like, this coffee cup is super annoying to carry. There has to be a better way. And at the same time, I was bitching to my now fiance about the price of shipping wine bottles. So I had just sent something to, I think, the Northern Territory. They had paid, I think, like $75 for a case of 6, and it had cost me $65 to post it. And I was like, this is bullshit. Like, this is not a business. This is going to bring me under. This is removing all my passion. I can't reinvest if I'm not making money. So this is where the concept of wine pouches started. And wine pouches changed the game. They changed how I looked at my business. They changed how I felt about my business. They changed my confidence, because we are the only ones in Australia to do this. So I invested. It was scary, but I invested in the manufacturing equipment to make these wine pouches. So now not only am I I'm actually not the first, that's a whole different story, but I'm the only one to be producing wine pouches. I also own the entire manufacturing process, which means that even if someone comes up behind me, they're going to have to go through me at some point, because I know how difficult it is to get to where I am. I know that you can't just find the manufacturer of the pouches. You can't just find how to fill them, because I'm not going to tell anyone. You can't find any of the information unless you spend the year that I spent looking for it. So I've created this safety net for myself, and now we've opened an office. We've got pouches going into, retail and food trucks, and we're selling it to golf courses and country clubs and all sorts of things. So it's a really, really exciting moment for me.
It sounds like your hurdles has what made you who you are today. It's almost like if you didn't fail all those times, figure out how freaking hard it is to land where you are, it's like you wouldn't be where you are today. And as you said, you know how hard it is. So now you can stand up on your throne and go, well, come to me for help, because I've done it all. Like, I've done it all. So I guess, like, I think that's such an incredible lesson. Like, don't just stop at a hurdle and be like, shit, this is it for me. I'm not seeing growth in my business. I'm not working with my ideal clients. I'm not making money. Like, the more time you spend on the ground, you're not going to end up where you want to be. Like, you just got to get up and keep going. And I would love for you to know, if you could go back and give yourself some advice to the early stages of business when Kata was just getting off the ground, what would you say to yourself, knowing what that's looked like so far?
I kind of look at my business journey in 3 separate sections. One is network marketing, which has its own challenges. Then the coaching business, I'm still sad that I had to shut that, but there might be a resurgence. We don't know. And then the wine company is a whole different thing. So when it comes to advice, I don't know, I guess if I put all 3 of them together, there would be probably 2 things. The first thing that I wish I had known when I started in business, full stop, was that people are not going to support you. And that was really confronting to me, because I did start in network marketing, which is one of the most lucrative industries, but also one of the most judged. And I wasn't prepared for the friends who I had at the time to not just not support me, but go to breakfast together and have a mad bitch about me. Like, I was not prepared for that. And I think that really shook my belief in just humanity. And then the same thing with the wine industry. Like, I would show up to vineyards, and I was in my 20s. I was a female. Clearly, I had no experience, and just the absolute judgment I was not prepared for, because I would never do that to somebody. And I learned that just because you have a belief system or a standard of how you do things doesn't mean other people follow the same thing. And the irony of that is that's also one of the biggest advantages, because in today's world, in sales specifically, if you answer the phone, you are already ahead of the competition. If you just respond to a message immediately instead of in 2 weeks, you are ahead of the competition. People are so terrible at showing up and communicating nowadays that if you just stay long enough, you are basically guaranteed success, because so many people don't have that in them. So that same judgment also becomes their own weakness. The second thing that I wish I had known was that the journey is not going to be a straight line. I really, really thought that you get started, you follow, you do stuff, and then you get there. I really thought that it just seemed fair in my mind. But business isn't fair. There's so much luck, there's so much timing, there's so much, I don't know, miracles and universal alignment required. And of course, then the lessons and the hustle and all of that. But it's going to take longer than you think. I wish I had known that, and I would have taken a lot of pressure off myself in all the businesses, and just really, and I do this now, learn to focus on just that day, that next task, that next week, that next plan, that next strategy. Just do the things and relax into it.
Yeah, like surrendering to the timeline.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it. It is, because as you said, you just don't know when it all is going to fall into place, but it will 110% if you just keep showing up every single day and just doing your thing and staying consistent.
And things are always better than you think. Like, I remember a major turning point in my network marketing business. You were a part of this. I had always had this vision of what it would be like to hit the top, the top level, and what that would look like. And in the end, it was in the middle of COVID and it sucked balls. But the next day when I checked my stats, I was out in the balcony laughing, crying, because my business had, like, I can't even explain how many times it had multiplied over and over and over because of things that had happened in the past. But I never would have imagined achieving that kind of success. It was literally overnight, 10 years, but the actual result happened overnight. Same thing with the wine company. Like, I thought I was going to be selling bottles into Dan Murphy's. That was the goal. But because things didn't go the way they planned, or I planned, I now have freaking wine pouches, and it's way better. And I'm making way more money than I would have if I would have put them into Dan Murphy's. So it's always, always for you.
And I guess it just comes back to the notion of releasing the how things are going to happen, and not being so caught up in how it's going to get you to where you want to be. Just living in that, what it's going to feel like once you're there, and how that falls into place is just completely up to the universe and how things align. That's been a huge journey for me as well, is just releasing the how, and learning to surrender to the timeline. Yes, we all want to get to a place sooner rather than later, but sometimes that force and pushing for something to happen is the worst thing you can do for your business and your results. Yeah, I love that.
Definitely. I always try and say to myself, if I'm feeling frustrated, I have to replace it with curiosity. So if I'm ever like, oh, like, why is this not working? Like, what the hell? I always sit back and I go, okay, what's another option here? What's another potential possibility? What could be happening in the background? Is there something that I'm missing? And I get really curious, and I start literally questioning myself. If nothing's coming, I journal. I find journaling really helpful, because I'll write the question out and then I just automatically write the answer out. It's not something that you can sort of logically come up with. So I think replacing that frustration with curiosity has been, again, another key to continuing on and getting the results eventually.
Yeah. And because your success is inevitable, it's always going to come while ever you are showing up, as you've said. Yeah, I love your journey, and I love that that's why you finished us off, because you're not someone that was going to get on here and go, oh my God, I tried this thing and now I'm a millionaire. That's
magic.
like, I hate when people have that advice. It's like, that's not how it is. And that's what I'm so passionate about on this podcast, is actually just calling out the bullshit of what it looks like to get to a place, and just know that it is hard, but don't look at it as hard. Like, as you said, just look at it as, from a place of curiosity. It's like, okay, well, that didn't work, but something else will. Like, it always will work out. It's just, releasing that how, but also just, knowing that it's not easy and results don't happen overnight, but they will eventually. And I just love that you've found something now that you are so passionate about as well. And realizing that how you thought Why Not was going to look isn't what it has ended up like, but it's been for the better. And yeah, I've just loved seeing it come to life. Now, if people want to find you, which they will, whether it's for network marketing or why not, where can they find you? Instagram, social media, all of that kind of stuff.
Yes, well, definitely shop online, go to our website. So winenotthebrand.com is where we have all of our products. Then Wine Not The Brand is our Instagram handle as well. And at Kata, so KATACSER is my personal Instagram. I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff and just share. I mean, when I was doing wine pouches, I was not saying a freaking word, but now they're out there. I share things openly on that. So you can follow me on either of those. Oh, wait, I also have a YouTube channel. Forgot. I have a Wine Not YouTube channel where I've been sharing behind the scenes stories as well. So if you want to have a good lol at all the challenges that I've been through and me saying, I'm going to hire a marketing agency, all excited one month and then crying the next month that I lost 15 grand, by all means, watch along.
But it's good to see the raw and behind the scenes of how things go and come into fruition. So I will link all of that in the show notes. Go and find Kata. Go and check out Why Not. It's the cutest idea, but also so practical. And her wine, I know I can vouch, is delicious. It is so delicious.
Thanks, babe. Made it myself.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning into the Advice from Her series. That does wrap us up. So thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to fully register for the event down below to get access to the Mindset for Money workshop and go back to all the other incredible episodes with the other women who have shared their advice and mindset shifts. But I'm going to leave it there, and I will see and talk to you guys